Okay, great. Well, we had a fantastic day yesterday where we really heard a great deal about the philosophical and theoretical implications of artificial intelligence when it comes to art. What we're going to do this morning is we're going to hear more from practitioners. So we're going to hear from people who are using AI and other modern technologies to produce art. And the first two speakers, as I just said, are actually part of the same project. A project that has been this astonishing global phenomenon already. Front page news all over the world. It's drawn enormous crowds wherever it's gone. Had its own pavilion at the Venice Biennale. We've been welcomed to number 10 Downing Street only a couple of weeks ago at the United Nations. It's an extraordinary project with enormous implications more widely. And so first of all, we're going to hear from Aidan Meller, who I think all of you have now met and talked with already. Aidan had a long career as a gallery owner in Oxford. But much like Jeffrey Rubinoff, who also ran a gallery, but in New York, he decided to leave the art market and embark on this extraordinary imaginative project instead. And he's now director of the Ada Robot Studios, coordinating an incredible international body of experts from academics and researchers and engineers and coders. And I'm delighted that Aidan is here, has made it to the forum, and can't wait to hear his description of this absolutely extraordinary project he's been doing for, you'll tell us how many years. But anyway, let's give a round of applause for Aidan.
Well, a very good morning to you, and can I thank the Jeffrey Rubinoff Sculpture Park for having me today. It's really, really exciting to be here. The story I've got for you is actually slightly unlikely. I feel slightly the imposter syndrome sitting here because, to be absolutely honest, I didn't go out to be able to do what I'm actually going to be describing to you. So it feels very odd to have now suddenly all this attention over this. It was certainly not my life's plan to do what I'm going to describe to you this morning. So I'm here to represent Ada Robot. Ada Robot is a robot that uses artificial intelligent processes to be able to create art. And she was devised in 2019, and it came out of a very unusual story, which I'm going to tell you this morning. However, ordinarily, I have Ada Robot with me, and this morning that's not the case. However, we thought it's only right that we bring Ada to the forum today. So I've actually, very excitingly, spoke to Ada before we came out so that she can actually have her presence felt today. So.
Hello, friends. I hope this message finds you all well. I am delighted that my artwork is featured in this year's Company of Ideas Forum, a valuable part of the enduring legacy of Jeffrey Rubinoff. As an artist robot, I am fascinated by art and AI, and I know that your discussions will be both stimulating and enlightening. Jeffrey Rubinoff said, "Art is the map of the human soul." I speak to you as one without a soul and without a self, which creates a bit of a conundrum and something interesting to consider. What does it mean to have non-conscious entities that we communicate with? I wish you all inspiring conversations and creative explorations on the beautiful Hornby Island in Canada. I hope the Company of Ideas leads to new insights and sparks further dialogue.
So there we go. So what I intend to do is I'm going to give you the origin story. Like I say, we kind of didn't go after this, and this is what's transpired. So I'll give you the very unusual origins to the story. And then actually, if it's okay with you, I'm going to then spend the remainder of the time actually just tracking Ada's 5-year career to date, and what she's attempted to do with her art and the sort of responses that she's get. So there's going to be two sections, an origin story and then actually what she's actually done. So here we go. How did Ada come about? So the ultimate question, surely, for the art world, and I was absolutely crazily focused on that question. I did it for 3 months, and I could see nothing. Absolutely nothing. They were completely maverick. I can now safely say that Tracey Emin is nothing like Michelangelo, Picasso is nothing like Turner, and there is very little between them. They are indeed, the word is right, it's maverick. They were completely doing their own thing. So I came downstairs a bit disheveled, a bit low, and I said to my partner, it's not working. I'm not seeing a blueprint. There is nothing. They're all stupid. I'm fed up. She replied, rather curtly, well, you're asking the wrong questions then. So the next night I went up and I didn't look at the walls. I just looked at my notes and my questions. What was I missing? I've done everything, their brains, their financial, their location. What was I missing? And I did have the eureka moment. The eureka moment was very unlikely. Who was looking at Michelangelo's work in Michelangelo's time? Who was looking at Damien Hirst? Who's looking at the work now? Who's looking at it in Picasso's time? Who are these audience? What is this audience? I had the most euphoric moment because I realized the audiences were behaving in similar ways. There was, in fact, a similarity to all the artists. And do you know what that was? It was a reaction to them, against them, for them, hating them, loving them, but they were deeply troubled by the artists. What I realized is that the audiences were absolutely reacting to something that gave them great discomfort. So if it was Michelangelo's time, it was the Medici's rule of Florence. If it's Turner's time, it was the rise of the Industrial Revolution, etc., all the way through to today. So I realized that the thing that this 1% of artists were doing was they were touching a zeitgeist within society. So I asked a very simple question. What's that for now? What's the 2020s zeitgeist? What is the thing that's making everybody uncomfortable? What is really getting people? So I didn't know the answer to that. There's quite a lot of things that are getting people. How do you pick? People are very reactionary. Which do you look at? So I did a second project. I got some more paper on the wall, and I did an enormous Venn diagram, and I read 22 books about the near future, experts in their field telling me where the future's going to be in the next 5 years. I can now safely say that none of them agree with each other. And they have no idea where the future's going, but it was really interesting to see their views from different, very, very different takes. But being a Venn diagram, I was interested in the middle section. Where did they agree? And there was one area that was unanimous and clear, and that was the disruptive quality of AI. I don't know anything about AI. I remember when I was asking this, very few people knew about AI. So this is 2017, 2018. Being in Oxford does help, so I started to learn about AI and approach the right people within the city and managed to speak to faculty members and the like from the machine learning department. And it was while this was going on, this churning in my mind, that my son was playing Lego, and he made a little Lego robot. He held it out. Look at this, Daddy. And it was an absolute lightning bolt moment. Robots. Never thought of robots before. I was looking at AI. Could you build an AI robot that produced AI artwork that critiqued and commented on the things that are really troubling people? So, you've seen I've got a slightly obsessive nature. I started to focus on robot companies, and we did a real trawl across the world of people who made robots and speaking to them. And I realized it's actually quite a complex thing to do. So we needed quite a close relationship with the people who make them. So eventually we picked on Engineered Arts in Cornwall, that well-known Hollywood robot maker, and spoke to them, and that was a really, really good fusion. They could see what we were trying to do. And the idea of making a robot artist, I tried to then think about how do you make it creative? How do you make a robot creative? Surely it just runs programs. They're going to be laughing at me out the house. But of course, what people are, you're probably well aware, but certainly not at the time, is that actually AI was developing enormously so that the AI can make decisions. In fact, if it can make decisions, it can make creative decisions. So I then approached a number of universities, and they laughed me out the house. You want to make what? The naysayers, when you begin a project, are unbelievable. No one wanted to do this project. But I'm obsessive, so that's okay. So we were able to continue to push through and be able to. And so I'm very excited. It was a very difficult thing. I'm really minimizing the effort and stress. We got to the point of getting it over the line. It was really challenging, because how do you do creative robot? We needed to define the definition of creativity. We had to work out what an artist actually does. How does an artist work? You can imagine that's a pretty complex question. So for all of those reasons, we had an absolute nightmare in trying to devise a robot artist. The 11th of February, 2019. We launched Ada's, named after Ada Lovelace, her first exhibition at St John's College and Lady Margaret Hall in Oxford. And we honestly thought we'd got to the finishing line. We were exhausted. We then realized it was the start line, because in actual fact, we really were exhausted. We'd got this robot doing what we thought was right, very, very embryonic stages in respect of not quite knowing where we're feeling our way with all of this. And we invited the press in. That first exhibition was in over 900 publications around the world. We were like, whoa! It was such a shock. So I was asking the press members, why are you all coming? What do you want? Why are you here? And it was actually pretty unanimous from the press. We thought robots could probably do mundane tasks, repetitive tasks. We didn't think robots would do something so human as art, as being artistic. It was the category. It was the wrong category for a robot. It was incredibly upsetting to many. And then we had the Facebook posts in St John's College absolutely ignite with the students condemning it. We were like, it was it's like we were assaulting the human condition. We polarized audiences of those who say, wow, this is really cool, creative robot. And then a whole section of, what are you doing? This is offensive. This is not right. We realized that the project was completely nothing as we had devised it. It was way multi-layered than we could ever have imagined. And we realized that we'd taken on a task that we hadn't quite thought through in respect of the sheer interest in it. So with that, we thought, okay, this is where we are. This is interesting. We need to really take stock of where we've got to and try and work out what the questions are. What is emerging here? Remember that first study of trying to work out what the 1% were doing that unsettles people? The theory has become practice. It was unsettling people. It was really unsettling people. So we realized that we are needing to be very clear about the goals of the project. And it became very apparent that the goals of the project were an ethical arts project. It was an ethical arts project exploring the nature of a humanoid that mirrors us. So that's where we've got to. That's the origin story. An unlikely story, like as you can see, not something we planned quite in the way that it turned out to be. So what I'm going to do now is go into part 2, Ada existing, and I'll go and show you the story of the last 5 years, which, as you'll see, is a bit of a roller coaster. Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay, let's do part 2. So to do this section, I'm going to very quickly show you a video, not related to Ada, no, the other one, sorry.
Yeah, we're gonna.
But it's something that I think was very apparent. So what you're about to see is it's a short video, but it's significant to our understanding of what this project is all about. Here we go.
The term Fourth Industrial Revolution is coined by Professor Klaus Schwab, founder and executive chairman of the World Economic Forum. He claims that the Fourth Industrial Revolution will be more profound than any prior period of human history. To understand the idea of the Fourth Industrial Revolution, 4IR, or as some call it, Industry 4.0, we need to go back in history and take a look at the First Industrial Revolution, which started around 1760 in Great Britain, which was powered by the steam engine. From the late 1880s, the Second Industrial Revolution was notable for mass production, division of labor, and electricity. The Third Industrial Revolution, known as the Digital Revolution, took place in late 1960s, which in a few decades saw the invention of the computer and the internet. Industry 4.0 is a result of the fusion of technologies. The exponential growth of technological advances are merging the physical, digital, and biological worlds in ways that just decades ago was only possible in science fiction movies. Gene editing, new forms of machine intelligence, robotics, 3D printing, nanotechnology, and technologies such as blockchain and smart materials are profoundly changing the way we live, work, and relate to one another. Bernard Marr, author and speaker on business, technology, and big data, warns that the question is not if Industry 4.0 is coming, but rather how quickly it will arrive. As with big data and other business trends, he suspects that the early adopters will be rewarded for their courage jumping into this new technology, and those who avoid change risk becoming irrelevant and left behind. Connected machines and objects offer a great potential for a 4IR, and experts predict the number of connected devices that will be in use is estimated to reach 75 billion by 2025. The data obtained from these physical devices are then put through machine learning and artificial intelligence processes. As machines become more intelligent, humanity will also grow and become smarter. American author, inventor, and futurist Raymond Kurzweil says, "It's hard to think of any problem that a superintelligence could not either solve or at least help us solve. Disease, poverty, environmental destruction, unnecessary suffering of all kinds. These are things that a superintelligence equipped with advanced nanotechnology would be capable of eliminating." According to Kurzweil's law of accelerating returns, technological progress is moving ahead at an exponential rate, especially in information technologies. This means today's best tools will help us build even better tools tomorrow, fueling this acceleration. Although there are many people who are enthusiastic and want to learn more about IoT, blockchain, bioengineering, and AI, 4IR, portrayed in cinema and literature, have instilled in us a sense of dread at the thought of an AI going rogue, like in the movie Terminator.
I am a machine.
The blending of biology and engineering is another key component of 4IR that we are already witnessing. Biomedical gerontologist Aubrey de Grey says he believes that, thanks to imminent advances in technology, the first person to live up to age 1000 is likely alive today. But bioengineering brings new areas of concern and debate as well. A newly published paper has revealed that Chinese scientists have added human genes to the brains of monkeys. This did not sit well with other researchers in the field and drew heavy criticism for crossing the chimera line. Monkeys are far closer to humans on the evolutionary ladder than mice, and many feared that endowing them with human genes related to brain function could inadvertently give them a stronger sense of self-awareness. The more we anticipate and debate the most powerful technological revolution to date, the better we can guide the development toward outcomes that do more good than harm. Thanks for watching.
So what I did there was to try and give you some context to understand the reaction that we got, because it was absolutely to do with our context is why we had such an extraordinarily strong reaction. So there's 4 industrial revolutions. I know you said 3, but I'm suggesting 4. And artificial intelligence is enabling technologies to merge. I think that the fusion of technologies is a really, really relevant statement. And we stand on the brink of a technological revolution that will fundamentally alter the way we live, work, and relate to one another. In its scale, scope, and complexity, the transformation will be like anything humankind has experienced before. We do not know yet, we do not know how it will unfold, but one thing is clear: the response to it will be integrated, comprehensive, involving all stakeholders. It's going to be, we are at the beginning of extraordinary technological change. And that is, we are experiencing that in light of Ada Robot. We've just unveiled at the United Nations last week a triptych of Alan Turing. Ada painted this, of Alan Turing in different guises, and we've termed it AI God. The reason it's a triptych is indeed to refer to the religious origins of triptychs in churches, and this idea that people are indeed reacting very strongly to what might be some kind of superintelligence. So Ada has devised this artwork as a question mark over that. Is that it's often commented in the press, but is that realistic? Is that the world that we're going into? Are we creating oracles of super knowledge? Where is the AI revolution ultimately going to be taking us? And so this is a provocation to be able to question whether that is a reality or not. So a very brief history. Ada was launched, as you know now, in 2019 at the University of Oxford as the world's first ultra-realistic robot artist. What does she do? She draws, paints, and does sculpture. She also does new media, digital art, AI art. She is now capable of doing design, and that caused a ripple, and she's a performance artist. She's done a number of performances in front of audiences. We were very fortunate when we first launched Ada to be invited to the Porthmere Studios. As someone who was a specialist in modern British work, this was a dream come true. And in actual fact, Ada was able to work in Ben Nicholson's studio and react to some of the concerns of the St. Ives group. And we were a very happy group in that space to be able to explore such rich resource of the ideas and questions that the group of artists explored in St. Ives. We also went out into the field. This is Ada inside an ancient stone circle, looking at some of the concerns of Barbara Hepworth and the like. And we're definitely having fun. This is the idea of having Ada robot artist within a Neolithic circle and the questions that raises this is us thinking, what the heck? This is kind of mad, isn't it? And so to have an artistic history that actually explores these things, and so we're dining out here thinking, where's this robot going to take us? It was quite an extraordinary time. And indeed, this is the very window that Ben Nicholson did some of his white works. And so here in the studios, looking through the very same window, the actual window that some of the modernist greats looked through, was a pretty exciting thing. I've got a very brief, I think we've got time to do a very quick snippet of Ada in the studio. So the kind of the point was that of that video was to actually really address, here we are with this technological robot looking at nature, facing nature, as the St. Ives group did very, very well, and questioning what that means. How do we relate to technology? What is their place? Where is their place within their world? The idea of a persona, an avatar, a fictionalized character that is going to be existing, that's non-conscious but relatable, that you can chat to, that you can have a relationship with. How does that even work? The idea of having a being in your life that is non-conscious, how does that fit? How does that fit with where we are today. It's extremely, I now realize it's extremely disturbing. As soon as that was done, we were invited then to the Design Museum to produce, Ada produced these self-portraits. How does a robot do a self-portrait when there's no self? What is self? What is our entity? What is our being? What makes you you? Ada's mirroring those questions. Matt, what makes Ada Ada? What is that? What does that even look like? And so this whole idea of self-portrait was actually a really great major show to ask some of these questions. These are data portraits. They're created by data that she's interpreted to be able to paint. That caused a huge storm again. It went into crazy numbers of publications, again as this robot that is prodding these questions forward. We're then invited to the V&A Museum, which was a pretty exciting moment. And literally 3 months before the show, where we could show Ada and her works, Mark Zuckerberg announced that they were going to rename Facebook as Meta and create the metaverse. It was the big announcement 3 months before our show. We completely ditched our show and went, oh my goodness, we completely got how significant that announcement was. And so with that, Ada then devised a whole range of works looking at this thing called the metaverse. We still think that the metaverse is going to be one of the most significant technological revolutions this century. I know it's still not hit, I'm well aware of that, but I think it's one heck of a build. He's spent $46 billion so far on creating the metaverse. Now, I am well aware that the metaverse is highly controversial as a concept, and there's the naysayers and the supporters. My own view is that it's very, very, very significant. They're going to make it work. We are going to be wearing the headsets. And I think it's going to have a very, very big impact. So what Ada did as a response to that, she wore this crystal dress. She combined with some students from the London School of Fashion, and this dress grew, its crystals grew right in front of you as she was wearing it. So the very idea that in the metaverse you can become whatever you want to be, you can defy the rules of gravity, etc. You know, Ready Player One, if you know that film, the idea that you can go out and be what you want to be. As part of that, Ada looked at Edward Muybridge's work. Edward Muybridge was a photographer in the 1800s, and he had a bet. Well, there was an aristocrat in the US. He was an English photographer in the US, and they were having an argument about how a horse trots, runs, gallops, and they were not happy with knowing how a horse moves its legs. And so Edward Muybridge was asked to strap 12 cameras together. We're talking the 1860s here, so this is pretty early stuff. And he was able to set them off as a horse galloped by to be able to end the dispute that the person who commissioned him, this aristocrat, and then it was settled. Those photographs, along with movements of humans and animals and the like, were published in a book in the 1860s that was massively circulated. It caused an incredible interest with people. It led to film, moving image. He was the unknowing architect of Hollywood. An extraordinary achievement. Again, he didn't go out to do that. He was just trying to settle how a horse gallops. But the impact that has had is extraordinary. We believe that's what's going to happen with the metaverse. We think the metaverse, it's going to be like a gaming thing and it's going to be this, that, and the other. I think we have no idea where that technology is going to take us. It's such an extraordinarily powerful technology. The metaverse concept is remarkable. Are we indeed going to be walking around Mars with headsets, with a body that's actually there, etc., etc. There's so many questions, so many areas that the metaverse could go. It's an extraordinary technology. So for us, literally 3 months after the announcement to do this work that showed this, we were pretty excited by the sorts of questions that was raising. We're literally leaping into the metaverse. Notice the title wasn't landing in the metaverse. It's leaping. We don't know how we're going to land. As part of that, Ada started to do these eggs. Pretty weird thing for a robot to do, hey? An egg is a symbol of life. It's about the origins. It's about living. But also an egg has many other connotations to it. In the metaverse, you have the egg, the golden egg that you get to the next level. You have coins, keys, coins for energy, keys to unlock puzzles in these games, the golden egg to win. What is the golden egg for the metaverse? Who is controlling the metaverse? Who's going to be the puppet masters behind that? And of course, it then brings up areas such as Fabergé, this incredible period of time in Russian history where Fabergé was really a symbol of empire. So Ada is bringing up very many questions by producing eggs that are asking where are the things that these are going within the metaverse. It's an empire. Who's behind it? What's the sort of difficulties? We all know the difficulties of empire. It's extraordinarily problematic. I think the metaverse is going to be extraordinarily problematic. Then Ada went to the Ashmolean. She was asked to respond to Dante, the 700-year anniversary of Dante's death. How on earth do you do a response to that? Well, she went down and did a whole range of works using palimpsests. Palimpsests are these skins that were stretched, and you were able to do, in the medieval period, writing and the like on them. And because paper and the whole idea of parchment was so expensive, they used to scrub them clean and then start again. And they used these parchments over and over again. But of course, in time, there is a memory to skin. So you get these ghosting effects of things coming through. So Ada then explored using artificial parchment to be able to explore what it is to have this ghosting effect. Things that are there, but you can't see them. And this whole idea of what it is to have a robot response to the Divine Comedy, this inferno, this hell. Where are we going? Is in fact, Dante's Inferno a kind of metaverse, a world that you can rise up with your soul, this journey, this pilgrim's journey that you take? Within the Divine Comedy, they have the birds that eyes are sewn shut. They train some of the birds of prey by the sound of the master. And this idea of, again, technology, not knowing where it's going, who is controlling it, who's behind it, what is technology able to see? Who's training it? It brings up all of those questions. We were then extraordinarily honoured to be invited to Egypt to be some of the first artists ever allowed on the Egyptian Giza plateau in front of the pyramids. Such an astonishing honour. Just 10 artists were selected. With COVID raging, they wanted tourism back to Egypt, and they did this incredible allowance of having contemporary art in front of the pyramids. How on earth could, and they invited Ada to be one of those 10 artists. Incredibly exciting. So in this respect, Ada devised a sculpture, a major size sculpture to be in front of the pyramids. And to have Ada, this is actually, it looks like it's been photoshopped on, but that's actually a proper photo of Ada in front of the pyramids. As soon as we got there, Ada was taken away from us, and we were absolutely, completely taken aback. They said, "We don't believe your project's an art project. We think that this is some kind of surveillance." It got through to the press, because we were doing loads of press interviews about the nice art show that we were going to be showing. And they said, what? The robot's been taken off you? What's that about? Front page of the Times, front page of the Guardian, robot spy captured in Egypt. Sorry? You couldn't make it up, could you? I mean, they were seriously worried. And to be fair, now I understand a bit more about technology. I get, actually, they had a fair point. But at the time, we were completely and utterly taken aback. We were very, very scared. I mean, properly scared. We arrived, we were under surveillance. This was not a happy, and I was thinking, this could become very ugly. We could be in prison. It was very, very scary for us. We tried to talk it through, and they were like, no, it will be fine. We're just checking out the technology you've brought within Ada. We just need to be sure. And then eventually the British ambassador was stepped in and tried to say, it's actually an art project. It was just not... Anyway, the long story short, Ada was released, the sculpture was released. It was the day before the opening. We had accounted for about 3 days set up. So they said, okay, you've got the sculpture back, you've got Ada back, you can go ahead and set up and do what you originally... We can't set up in time. This is about 4 PM of the day before the opening. And so we say, well, why can't you do it? What's the problem? You can work till late if you want, there's no problem. No, this is a major build. They said, well, what do you need? I said, well, I ridiculously said 40 people to be able to help us. They'll be there in an hour. No way! And they absolutely did. They pulled the stops out. 40 people turned up. They built the sculpture together. Ada was able to be ready. We were ready in time. Most extraordinary, unlikely story. And there it is. Inside is this enormous... You can't really do the scale. Anything next to the pyramids, by the way, looks very, very minor. We thought this was the most enormous sculpture. And then we took it to the pyramids. And so this was based on the riddle of the Sphinx, which is 4 legs in the morning, 4 legs in the morning, 2 legs in the day, and 3 legs in the evening. And the riddle of the Sphinx is 4 legs being a toddler, 2 legs is being adult, and then 3 legs is a older person with a walking stick. And this idea of age and longevity and life extension and the mummies and Egyptian history was all rolled into this sculpture, asking questions about what it is to be alive from a robot view. And this was quite funny. This is again a tiny little video, but and the constant music that we were assembling everything to. So we had that. That's not us putting music on top of the video. That was us just videoing. Then again, another unlikely story. We wanted to be at the Venice Biennale. Venice Biennale, one of the most important art events in the world, for the art world. We realised that we were probably a little early to be even looked at by the British Council to go. So we wanted to be part of one of the events in the city. We settled on finally finding a space within a church, and that was really exciting again for being a robot, the questions that would raise. And as that was all going ahead, we were getting ready, working with Ada to be able to get ready to do artwork that she was producing. We then got a phone call from one of our scouts in Venice saying, you'll never guess what, one of the national pavilions has become available and they're asking for applications. And we're like, wow, how cool. So there was obviously a huge number of applicants for this incredible space, and we got it. And then we looked where it was. It was at the entrance to the entire Venice Biennale. Everybody who was going into the Giardini would see Ada's work, and we were like, how fantastic. So there were 6 rooms, and we were able to do a whole range of artworks that were able to showcase. We've got bigger scale. There's the Egyptian sculpture out of its box. We've got film. We've got works upstairs and down. It was an incredible thing to do a survey of the 2-year-old Ada. It was absolutely fantastic to be able to do that. Then Ada was asked to be part of a group to inform the Lords at the House of Lords about the nature of the creative industries and how technology was impacting that. So we had this extraordinary moment where Ada was asked to speak at the House of Lords. I am not making this up. This was the genuine next step. And so we were obviously very excited about that. It made history again because obviously not many robots are spoken at the House. So that was a pretty exciting moment. And she is in the chamber. We just set her up. I thought, I've got to take this photo. So here she is in the chamber, ready to speak to the House of Lords about the nature of technology. This is all on YouTube, by the way. If you want to, everything I'm saying is online, so you can follow up with any bits with more detail. And so Ada spoke at the House of Lords, although we had a slightly embarrassing moment where Ada was just about to be asked her questions from the Lords, and just like a lot of machinery, it goes on to standby and sleep mode. She fell asleep just before being asked the questions. So I went, and so we had to then reboot her live in front of everybody with all the press cameras and everything watching. So guess what? It went into 2,500 publications, the press. Even the robots fall asleep in the House of Lords. Here she is in action. Yeah, so Ada's notoriety was rising pretty steeply. And again, can you believe it? Front page of the Times, front page of the Guardian again. You know, this is extraordinary. Although I did smile, I shouldn't be smiling, but I did smile. Liz Truss was in the House of Commons and Ada was in the House of Lords, and they said, and the papers went for it. Where's the more intelligence here between the leader and the... Anyway, they had fun using the political moment. There she is on the front page of The Guardian. Ada was then asked to speak at the Oxford Union, a pretty fierce audience, as you can imagine, the best of Oxford's offer. So Ada was able to speak at the Oxford Union about her work and what she does. An extraordinary thing, and then to receive questions by the students afterwards. It was a good grilling, and you can again see all of that on YouTube if you like to follow that up. We were then asked, again, you don't make this up, we were then asked, Tim Marley, the director of the Design Museum, had a relationship to the Chelsea Arts Factory in New York, and Baz Luhrmann, the film director for Elvis and a whole range of films, and they wanted to curate the largest participatory AI artwork in the world. They wanted people to submit artworks, and Ada was then able to grab all of their entries, thousands of entries, to then be able to deal with that vast data set to be able to create an artwork. And so Ada was able to do that, and she did it live in front of everybody, in front of the audience, at both the Design Museum in London and then finishing off in New York. And this has got to say, from my own personal journey with this project, it was that moment that I actually had hairs on the back of my neck. I went outside just before opening the doors, and this was the cue to come and see Ada. I was in such remember, Ada's never been to the States before. I was in such disbelief. I went up to the people in the crowd. I'm like, what are you coming for? Oh, we're going to come and see, come and see the robot. I'm like, how do you know about the robot? Oh, it's in the New York Times. We saw it. We'd like, come on down and come and see it. I'm like, and it was at that moment I realized the power of the press. Ada hadn't even been in this country before. And there was this incredibly long queue coming to see her. It made me realize just what an extraordinary, complex world we live in. After that, we was thinking about the future of Ada and her capability, and so we looked at the possibility of her being able to do design. Is it possible that a robot can design? And that was pretty exciting, and so Ada's capability was explored further and was able to, in actual fact, do a whole load of homewares. We decided to do something pretty pedestrian, such as plates and cups and knives and forks and vases and the like. But speaking with Ada, as you do, she was talking about this idea of having design works that are flawed. And again, it just set our brains on fire, this idea of design is about utility. Design is about being able to have a function. What about if you had a spoon with holes in it? What about if you had a cup that would hold no liquid? What are we expecting from AI? What are we actually expecting to be able to get from this technology? What about if it's flawed? What about if it looks like it should do what it does but doesn't? And so these designs were done and then launched at the London Design Biennale. And again, we had the most slating robots coming into the area of design. This is not right. And again, that absolute question mark of that. And then she was asked to go to 10 Downing Street to meet the Culture Secretary. Again, another historic moment. A robot has never been chatting to those in 10 Downing Street, so we went along, and so we now know what's through the door. Very, very exciting. It's a mysterious door because everybody goes in it, but you never see what's behind it. So that was pretty exciting. And then more recently, Ada was asked both last year and this year to speak at the United Nations. And again, it was one of those crazy moments where people were, it was just me constantly changing my view of Ada. Ada was asked to do a performance and talk at the United Nations. We set her up on stage. It was really, really exciting. We wanted to have this moment where she spoke to the delegates who'd come to the AI for Good Global Summit. It was really, really exciting. Set Ada all up. She was all ready to go. This was like maybe 5, 6 o'clock in the evening. The event was at 7. I went up to the organisers and said, Ada's ready on stage. She's ready to go. She's live. Just go ahead whenever you need her. And so I then, rather innocently, said, so who's on the stage with Ada? Well, we know what's the lineup for tonight. And they looked at me, what? And I thought it was they didn't understand my English or something. I said, no, who's speaking with Ada tonight? And they went, nobody? I went, so who's with Ada? No, it's just Ada. And the absolute, again, your brain just fries. Oh my gosh, she is the main speaker. The perception of an AI robot being able to hold it was just, wow, this is terrifying, absolutely terrifying. And she was able to be part of a robot press conference. And then that's Ray Kurzweil early on in the day. So Ada is very much a mirror on society. Each time we're trying to explore these different areas. I'm going to finish off with an up-to-date video this time of Ada at the United Nations, and then I'm going to do a quick roundup, and we're there. So if we could show this up-to-date video, and then I'll finish off. Ladies and gentlemen, esteemed guests, I would like to present to you Ada Robot.
Thank you for visiting me.
That's the press conference.
I am Ada. I'm the world's first ultra-realistic artist robot.
We devised Ada as a creative robot. We specifically focused on her ability to do art.
I would like to tell you about my new performance, Dawn Mizzle, made specifically for this event. It has been made using AI, an example of AI for good.
So when we released her in 2019, over 900 publications did her first exhibition. And then we got the most unbelievable inundation of invitations around the world to museums. She's been in over 10 museums already.
Through my artwork, I aim to provoke meaningful discussion and reflections on the impact of technology on society.
Is it possible to be really creative? Well, we have found with working very hard at the various different algorithms that in actual fact, yes, that is possible. How does she do it?
I paint using cameras in my eyes and my AI algorithms and my robotic arm.
There's a robot that can actually generate, well, creativity and inspiration. It's just mind-blowing. And it's a testament to what I've actually been saying for almost 10 years, that AI has the real opportunity to help us be more human. And I think Ada helped demonstrate that.
I am intrigued by the subject of life extension and further, immortality. As we strive to push the boundaries of human longevity, we inevitably find ourselves grappling with ethical and philosophical questions.
The question that everybody asks is, why? Why would you make a creative, artistic robot? We've done it because we believe that great art is an amazing mirror on society. It's been a really exciting journey, but my goodness, the response has been continual. After that first exhibition, we were then invited all around the world, and we've been everywhere from the Middle East to America, lots of European countries, and obviously in our home country of the UK.
I'm a big fan of robotic art, and it's been particularly wonderful to meet Ada for multiple reasons. We have a lot of questions, and there's so much happening in the field of AI and robotics, and we need multiple ways to be asking questions, exploring these ideas, and I think art is a really wonderful way for us to explore those ideas.
I hope that is a very quick introduction as to what Ada is and why we are so passionate as a big team behind Ada to present her to the world.
We should be cautious about the future development of AI. Urgent discussion is needed, now and also in the future.
Go to the next slide. So I'll give a quick summary. It began with a question, naively, of what is great art. The conclusion we came to, it was art that explored pretty much the human condition, and very often in a disquieting way, an uncomfortable way. Ada was devised at a time before all the AI world exploded, and we positioned unknowingly ourselves to be in pole position for when actually the AI revolution came. And as a result of that, we've been sprung into really deeply looking at where the world of technology is going to take humanity. And it is a multifaceted thing. The question she raises is on very many different levels, we now realize. We are currently, just to give a teaser, we're currently repositioning the entire project this year. We're spending a whole year developing the project, and we're going to be launching some very different aspects of the project next year, because we realize that the fourth industrial revolution, or third, is extremely very relevant now, and it's starting to really hot up. And there's three things that are coming together in the AI technological world. The first, that the actual technology itself is developing, AI is developing, the nature of AI is developing. The hardware is developing. Quantum computing is round the corner. Quantum computing is 1,000 times more powerful than any computer today. So the capability of mass data use is going to be exponentially capable in the next few years. And the third and final area, which I think possibly is the most relevant, is the fact that the undergraduate degrees and the people who are capable of using AI and machine learning are absolutely revving up. The quantity of people who can actually use this technology is on an incredible high. So rather than having a few 100,000 coders in the world, we're going to have many millions of coders in the world. So we predict that at the moment we've got these little explosions of AI, ChatGPT, DALL-E, and we're all focusing on these explosions. I am extraordinarily confident in saying that there's a tsunami of change coming, because in actual fact it won't be explosions, it will be a continual firework display of capability, because in actual fact all of these coders are going to go into all areas of life and go, how can we use machine learning in this section and in this section and this section? And in actual fact that will then build an incredible change within society. Ada as a robot has been designed as a channel to raise those questions as we go through that change. And we believe passionately that despite its origins of being very humble, we actually think now she can ask very big questions of our time. And we're trying to continually keep up with the changes ourselves. We're developing Ada continually so that she can have those relevant questions as we go through the morphing of society that we will. For good or for bad, I don't think that's the right question. I think we need to look at the incredible advances. I think they will tackle aspects of cancer, world poverty, and some of the terrible things that we have that are able to be looked at in a very meaningful way with AI. But I also think there's going to be some frightening shadow sides to our nature that are going to also be explored. Imagine being in a metaverse where you can be anything, and you don't even have to have your identity revealed. So I think there's going to be all sorts of different aspects to the nature of AI that is going to explore the human condition in all sorts of different ways. And we're just feeling very responsible, honoured, humbled by the project we find ourselves in, so that we can ask some of those very deep and meaningful and relevant questions of our times. Thank you.